Well, today is one of the biggest rail strikes, certainly in 30 years. And um, given the way that this is playing out, it certainly seems to me this entire strike is purposefully being orchestrated by Grant Shapps and Boris Johnson for the express idea to try and rally conservative voters who were like the Thatcherites back to his banner because, oh my God, these aren't these rail strikes very much like the miners' strikes? And look what the miners wanted to do back then. Ooh, scary. um, that's generally seems to be how it feels. That's I can't explain it other way. That's how it feels. It really does. And the way that this is obviously being portrayed by the media, especially by the right-wing media, is how dare these people, how dare they strike for better pay and better conditions. Remember, rail workers in particular are one of the key people back during the pandemic who worked throughout all of the pandemic to keep not only train stations open, but the trains running as well for key workers. In fact, they themselves were key workers. So the idea that they don't deserve anything, any better rates of pay or anything like that is completely and utterly ridiculous. And I said before, just yesterday, I think it's not just rail strikes we're going to be continuing to see through this summer. I think other unions out there as well are going to start striking as well over pay and conditions, because there is a massive effort by especially the Conservative government to really try and gut transport even more. Even though we've gone over this channel, my interview with I did with Gareth Dennis just went to show you how important rail infrastructure and having good rail infrastructure really is to this country, and how important it is to the economy as well, not just for people to travel, but also building an interconnected travel network. So people catch a train and then they can get a bus, and so on and so on. Public transport is really, really important, and so few I think people people on the right dismiss it out of hand completely, and on the left, while there is this acknowledgement of, yes, we need good public transport, there's a section on the left that just go, we can't have HS2, it's going to be really bad for the environment. And you're like, no, trains are very good for the environment, overwhelmingly very good. Hence why you look at the Green Party. If you don't believe me, there is a big section of the Green Party against HS2, but there is a movement again within the Green Party called Greens for HS2 that want this in very needed infrastructure. But anyway, that will certainly get into the infrastructure later on. But what's going on today, of course, is very worryingly that Boris Johnson here is trying to break the strikes by bringing in agency workers, which is illegal, massively illegal. Now, we don't know if he is going to, should we say, generally and seriously pull the trigger on this. He has threatened to do this. Whether he will or not, we will have to wait and see. But of course, at that point, that becomes illegal. And of course, they will take the government to court over this. Certainly very, very interesting times ahead on this. You've also got Grant Shapps' comments on that all this rail striking is just a show. It's just a farce. Ignore it. But how can you? Thousands of people throughout these rail strikes are going to have difficulty traveling. And don't get me wrong, I sympathize. I really, really do. I sympathize 100% with people who today, Thursday, and certainly in the coming weeks are going to be really, really disrupted by these rail strikes. I get it. I've been there myself today on this exact thing. But look, these guys who are striking, I'm with them as well. I want them to have good pay. I want them to have good conditions, because ultimately, at the end of the day, we've seen when you don't give people especially the conditions, that can be really detrimental to them, mental health, physically, and even can affect their work conditions. And the last thing you potentially want is maybe a train driver falling asleep at the wheel. Um, you don't want that. You do not want that at all. And even more worryingly, of course, is that a big part of this strike action, which doesn't get talked about a lot, and you'll see why in a moment, is that a large part of the reason why they are striking is to stop job losses. Because one of the big government's new plan is, right, ticket officers, we're going to get rid of them completely. So take out and get rid of all those personnel that help and run the ticket offices and just put machines in instead. Let the computers do the work of people. I think that is 100% and completely wrong. I have been on so many train journeys where I've had to go to the ticket office and say, hey, can you help me out with this? And I've been helped out. That is a massive loss, especially to rail passengers. So if you are a rail passenger, there is no reason why you shouldn't be in support of these strikes. And again, helping people be employed, because the last thing we want to do at this moment in time is making hundreds of thousands of people more unemployed. We do not want to do that. Of course, I'm sure we will I'm sure I can almost predict it at some point. There will be some crazy conservative, maybe Peter Bone, will come out and say, oh, look, all these people have lost their jobs. Don't worry about it. Go pick fruit in the fields. I highly suspect we will get that comment maybe at some point this week. Of course, it could even come from Nadine Dorries. She's the type of person to come out and say something crazy and wacky doodle like that. But I expect that comment to be coming. But that is one of the main reasons why they are striking, of course, to make sure that those employees and sort of those ticket officers do remain open. I am hugely for that. I've always said that conductors on trains fulfill a very valuable purpose on a train. Having them on the train helps improve safety, a whole range of sort of features that conductors can fulfill on a train. So they will probably be next. If they get rid of the ticket officers, they'll go after the conductors next. And it's, as one member of the RTM rail unions put it, look, the way that Rishi Sunak has been running the budget, he is enforcing transport austerity, and I'm with him on that, definitely. And I think that we need to really look at transport. And I think if Labour really, really wanted to make, public transport a general election issue, it would be a really good vote winner for them. Really, really good. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.